Hi everybody, this is the Southern Guy Paranormal channel. Welcome, I'm Adam, and I'm going to kick off talking about the ULEZ, brief history. Back in the early noughties we had the congestion charge start up in London, which was the very central bit of London around Westminster, Trafalgar, Tower London, in that little, there's like a little circle. So yeah, that was the early noughties. The congestion charge run from 7 till 6 Monday to Friday. Motorcycles and scooters, hybrids, and low emission, which at the time was probably small diesels, small petrols, etc. Were exempt. As I say, Monday to Friday, 7 till 6. And then the ULEZ was introduced, and that was essentially the same area, and that ran 24/7, round the clock, midnight to midnight. That then got expanded to North and South circulars. At the moment, the pub I do on a Friday night sits just outside the South Circular, so I'm not currently in the ULEZ. But come the 29th of August, that wonderful mayor Sadiq Khan has decided to extend the ULEZ to all London boroughs, and that includes Romford and Upminster, and that goes just the other side of the M25. Wonderful man. What I've discovered through my own experience is that even if you have an older petrol car, it may be ULEZ compliant. So don't scrap that car just yet, and just listen what I'm going to tell you, in case you don't already know. You may do, in which case fast forward to the rest of my stuff. But yeah, what I'm going to quickly discuss is, now what this boils down to. I'm going to move on to motorbikes as well, but this centres around petrol cars. Diesels, compliant diesels with ULEZ are basically 2014 and newer. Alright, these are slightly more complicated because it's down to both your NOx and your particulate matter emission as well, and generally Euro 6 and above for diesel are the ones that's compliant. Where it gets more interesting is with petrol driven cars, okay, because what we found with petrol driven cars is that although the ULEZ says, as I say, diesel already said Euro 6 generally, what they've said with petrol cars was they're generally Euro 4, which is around 2005 mark. However, what I discovered when I looked into it more closely, with petrol it's just down to your basically it's just down to your NOx emissions, and what ULEZ are saying, or TfL, is that anything below 0.08 grams per kilometre will comply. Okay, and you can find this out by looking here. If you look on your registration documents, make sure you've got your finger in the right place, around there, alright, that will tell you your NOx emissions. Now, as I said, 0.08 is what TfL are looking for as a maximum level. When I looked at this is for my Saab 93. That's 0.01, and she's a 2 litre SE turbo. Okay, she's 22 years old, but she complies. You could have knocked me down with a feather when I checked. I thought she's so old she can't comply. But once I looked at that and it said that was the figure, so I'm like, okay. She then went back to the TfL vehicle checker site, put the reg in for the 93, and it came back and said it complies with ULEZ. So there's a lesson there. do not throw your old petrol car away. It may well comply, and you can check it there. Alright, and I've actually helped a couple of people with their vehicles as well who thought the same thing because they was old that I didn't comply, and it turned out they did. Alright, so yeah, check your petrol vehicles and hopefully you can save yourself a few quid, especially if you've had the car some time, you know, and it's, you know, as with I, better the devil you know. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be so lucky with my 9.5, that's well old. And as I say, it's a diesel, and the engine in that is an old diesel engine, so I know there's no way that would ever go through. But it was pleasing to know that the 9.3 does comply, so I don't have to muck around looking at four wheels, a new set of four wheels, at least just not yet anyway. So yeah, as I said, check your car and you may well be surprised. So with regarding bikes, now what this is what gets me, is why it's such a money grabbing con. When they first put out the consultation for ULEZ, when it was just in the same areas as the congestion zone, their own figures on their pie chart said that motorcycles, scooters, contributed less than 1% to the air pollution of London. That's negligible. I suspect my farts probably cause more damage. It's crazy, but they then went on to charge motorbikes the same as cars, despite the fact that they have virtually no effect on the air pollution. In actual fact, if more people did get on bikes, they'd probably find that their air pollution would drop because the traffic flow would be better. But hey ho, who am I to talk common sense? So, well, I'm going to move on to bikes very quickly now. Yeah, generally it's Euro 3. That's what TfL is saying, which is 2007 and onwards. Bikes at 2007 and newer will generally comply with ULEZ, which is basically my Africa twin. She's, well, 5 years old this year, so she falls in really well. But again, this is down to the NOx. Alright, now on bikes, it's generally 0.15 is your NOx emissions. So if your bike falls below that, then it will be compliant. And there are plenty of bikes out there that are older and they do comply. But what you need to do is first speak to your manufacturer. So, you know, if you've got Yamaha or Suzuki, whatever, contact the manufacturer about your bike and see if they've got any emissions data on it, and then look at the emissions data and see if it complies. You can then ask for a certificate of conformity, and you can put that with your registration document. Now bear in mind, this isn't blanket, so let's say for example my Triumph Thunderbird, if I get a certificate of conformity from Triumph for it tomorrow, Joe Bloggs might come down the road with his own Triumph Thunderbird 900 or Legend or Adventurer, same engines. His won't comply, because just because mine complies doesn't mean his does. It will, because mine does, but he'd have to apply to Triumph himself or herself and get that certificate for their vehicle. Alright, so that's one way of doing it. The other way, there's one or two garages in London where you can get an emissions test. Now it's not cheap, it's around 160 quid, but maybe it'll probably be a better way. 160 quid would be money well spent, rather than you saying, oh, I'm going to go and get a new bike just because my one's old and therefore I think it doesn't comply. Spend the 160 quid, check to see if your bike complies. If it does, I suspect most will, happy days, you can crack on. Obviously if it don't, then you may need to look at other methods, but there we are. I've got to get my Thunderbird done at some point, obviously after the cam change sorted, just so I know that whether it's good or not. I don't need to use the Triumph to commute into London. Obviously I've got the Africa Twin, I've done it several times now. It's proved very, very capable. But it'd be nice to have the Triumph available to ride in London if I wanted to. And there's been some crazy bikes coming up as compliant. And the best one I've found was a late RD 350. Can you believe a two-stroke complies with the ULEZ? They chuck, you and I know, two-strokes chuck out everything short of Zyklon B from their exhaust. And you get this RD 350 complied. So, yeah, that's just one example. And there's plenty of other European and Japanese bikes that are coming up from the mid-late 90s, you know, up until 2007. So, as I said, check on your registration document first. If it puts out, this is bikes I'm just talking about, sorry. You might find the figures already on your registration document. And I think in which case, you might need to get in contact with TfL. If not, get in contact with your manufacturer, see if they've got the data. If they haven't, then your sort of last port of call is to get booked in at a garage in London and chuck them in the 160 quid. And yeah, hopefully you'll be lucky. So there we go. That's the ULEZ thing in a nutshell. We all know it's a massive money grab. That's it, pure and simple. Sadiq Khan wasn't entirely truthful, I'm saying very mildly, about getting it through. Certain things weren't brought to attention, shall we say. Yeah, but that's where we are. Obviously the other thing is mass non-compliance, but that's a discussion for another day, along with 15-minute cities. Look it up, 15-minute cities. That is not conspiracy, that is going on. There's massive pushbacks at the moment. But again, that's a discussion for another day. So, yeah, anyway, that's where we are. Just quickly, I know I mentioned it before, but the reason I was checking so thoroughly because my pub in Putney will come into the new ULEZ expansion. And lucky me, because I finish at 1 o'clock in the morning, remember it's 24/7, and it goes midnight to midnight, I'll be paying twice. I have to pay to go in, I have to pay to come out. So to work one night a week would cost me £100 a month in my 9-5. Nice one, Sadiq. I mean, yeah, and when I travel is in rush hour. 1 o'clock in the bloody morning. Stupid. Anyway, there we go. ULEZ. So, moving on to what I've been up to. Now, hopefully, everyone would have watched Patricia Parsons, my conclusion last week. As I say, there was a certain point we had to cut the camera because what was coming through could have caused issues for Rudy, Stella and myself, so we couldn't talk about it. And the people that was behind what happened to her, you know, they are pretty much beyond reproach. There's not really a lot we can do, but as I say, we've given you the hints as to who was involved or who may have been behind it. So you can look up who was about at the time. We've got a fair idea who might have been behind it, but as I say, look it up, see what you find. So anyway, that being that, the next bit of content will be coming out. I think I'm going to do the first bit of the Kevin Whitaker because that's going to be a three-parter, similar to Patricia. Going to cover the background to Kevin. I know it's been covered before, but obviously I'm going to do it in my own unique way with my drone, so you can see the area and get a picture of where he was found, and then look at me when I go over there to investigate, try and find the spot where he was found and try and get a bit of communication. The third bit hasn't been done yet. That will involve more than likely Rudy, Stella and myself, anyone else that I can get out as well that might help. We'll be on and we'll be doing that, and then also want to get a bit of a concluding part to the retinue stuff as well. So It's just a matter of, it's just a time and motion thing. It's getting the right people in place at the right times for everything. That's the hardest bit, especially during January with the weather being so crap. It was virtually impossible. The weather's better now. It is cold, but at least it is dry, and we haven't got any wind, or not a lot anyway. So hopefully that will help with me recording, and I can try and get those finished up. So yeah, that's the content to expect this week. Had a great little weekend. Went out for a meal with Stella, Rudy, Tracy and Ricky. I was hoping a few more from my little Facebook group could have joined in. Unfortunately, they couldn't for whatever reason, but we still had a good crack, and it was nice for Stella to meet Tracy and Ricky. Obviously, Rudy already has done from when we done the Wakering Stairs, but yeah, it was nice for Stella to meet them. And yeah, after our little meal, we had a little visit to St Nicholas Church in Langdon. Those of you long memory will remember that Tracy, Ricky, I think Tracy's mum as well, we went there about 18 months ago. We got some great results. We had the Ghost Bride, we believe, got in contact, and I went back again with a fellow called George. He does a little bit of ghost hunting, and I got some different stuff then. So yeah, that'll be all to come, so you can watch that and see what you think, because we got some different stuff, and I think we will be going back because Stella was picking up all sorts over there. So looks like we've got more work to do. So yeah, that's where we are at the moment. There's content coming up, content we've been involved with, and obviously a bit of ULEZ explained, and I'm hoping the stuff about the ULEZ will help a few people, hopefully not be out of pocket when they thought they might have been. Anyway, thanks for watching everybody. Love and light to you all. God bless you all. Stay well. Thank you.